collar. Here's the collar. So there's no interfacing. So you want to make sure that you mark all of your circles and then mark all your notches. So I marked the notch here. I didn't cut into it. I just marked the notches here. I marked on this side. So this is going to be the top. On the bottom, there's 2 notches. And then along the bottom is two circles. And then there's circles on the ends. That's where your the buttons. Same thing on this one, button, gathering. And then you're going to make sure that you mark your circles right here at the bottom. So 4 circles on the outside, 2 notches on the top, 2 notches on the bottom, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 circles across the bottom. So I can go ahead and take my pins off now that I'm ready to sew this. So the first thing we're going to know is that this is 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So when you sew this together, you got to remember it's 3/8 of an inch, not 5/8 of an inch. Next thing is gathering. So we're gathering on the center back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one stitch. I'm not even going to do 2. I'm going to put 1 stitch right here in the inside the seam allowance. 1 regular stitch. I'm not even going to make it a loose stitch. Oh my goodness, sewing friends, I almost forgot that the collar has a front and a back, or upper and an under collar. And one thing, oh my gosh, did you just see that? One thing that I wanted to share and that I think is very important, and I just learned this recently, about cutting fabric on the fold. And so sometimes that can give you more width than you need. So when you cut it out on the fold, open it, because I did cut it on the fold, and then I match up my end here, and I mark a line of where that center is, and then I flip this over and I put that on the center line, and then from there, hopefully, I'm not sure if I'm in the shot. So on that center line, I put my pattern, and then I go out to the edge and I see how much extra is on here. And I'm glad, because I ran out of fabric on that end. So now I'm just going to cut this off. So now I know that my front, because the front was not cut on the fold, it's cut on the bias. So you just want to make sure you're matching. And then, so let me line this up again. So on here, this is the top. There's a notch here. So I'm just going to mark a notch here, and then on this side, mark another notch. So those are my 2 notches. And then we have the circles for the belt loops. Got to do that too. So I have that ready. I put the gathering stitches in the ends here. And so I'm going to go ahead and just grab one and pull on one side and one to pull on the other. So this is going to move on me. So I'm going to tie one side. I'm not pinning it together yet, but I am going to pin my corner here. And remember, this is going to be 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to pull I don't have to pull the thread yet, so I'm going to match up this other corner. And then here is where I will play with my gather to get it. Yeah, that's good. right there. So let me go ahead and tie this side off. And then I can use a pin, and I could play with the gathers just to make sure that they're not all in one spot. It's set up. So here I have a scrap piece of fabric, and I am going to cut 1.5 inches. That's how much I want. I'm going to cut 1.5 inches. I'm pretty sure the pattern has its own width. So if I take this and I say 1, 2, 3. Yep, I'm going to go down this far. So just like the belt loop, not closing the ends, you're just going to take this, fold it in half, and you're going to stitch down the one side, and then we're going to turn that right side out. All right, acting like it doesn't want to work with me. Let's see if we can get this tiny tube back in. Oh my gosh. So I must have had something a little uneven before. Ugh. All right, let's go ahead and didn't go through. I just need to get this to come down and turn in on itself. Come on, get in there. There we go. Whew. Talk about making me work. Put the collar. You're going to need the upper collar, which is the bigger piece, the lower collar. You're going to need some tiny straps, and you're going to need 3 buttons. I had a really cute this one button, but I only had one. But I am so bad at planning my projects. Like, I can make a whole project and get to the point where I'm like, you know what, I don't even have a zipper. I'm going to use some needle and thread for this part. Okay, so now I have my needle and thread. I'm going to take my strap, and I am going to turn it like that. Now I want to figure out how much I want to get in here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go through the top. I'm going to go ahead and went straight through. Get my strap. I'm going to get my strap together. Get another strap. So I only need 3 pieces. So I'm just going to cut these in half. So I'm going to turn this one, and we're going to take that. I'm going to put that down here, and I'm going to go down through the bottom. Those lie flat. And if you're getting frustrated with the loops like I am, I'm just going to take this one. I'm going to make sure, there we go, that it's the same width. Oh my gosh, look at my nails. You don't want to know how painful. You don't want to know how painful that was. Now, I am going to baste. I'm going to baste those in there so they don't move, because they're going to move, and I don't feel like I want to get this done. I would hand sew this, but I'm going to use the machine to baste it. So I am back. Now I will cut my ends off. Buttons go on last. So now, taking my pieces, I'm taking the ends and I'm going to gather them. Make sure they're nice and even. I'm going to take this, making sure that my gathers are even. See how they're all in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and pin one side, pin this side. And then I'll pin the other side, making sure that my button loops are not caught in the seam. I'll pin that. And then I will finish the gathering. I'm going to lock that one in place. And then I'll lock this one in place. And then move my gathers around. And then I'll pin it. One pin. Two pin. And then the same on this side. Put my pin here. Put a pin in this corner. Let's put another pin in this corner. And I'm going to pin it in the middle. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pin just this side because I want to open it up and I want to make sure that my button loops are good before I sew the whole thing together.
A few moments later.
So let me go ahead and take my pins out and take a look. Very nice. I like it. Just checking it. Yeah, it shall work. So now that that is done, so here's the top part, and so here is the notch from the bottom matching the notch on the top right here. I'm going to pin that, and then I'm going to match this notch with the notch in the front, and then I'll go ahead and bring the rest of this together and secure it with a pin. Just bring in the two to meet without any pulling. Okay, so now let's talk about the construction of the collar. And I don't think I'll be getting this done in one sitting. All right, so here we have our pieces. This is the front. Let me get my straps out the way. Okay, here's the front, and then we have the back. So those two circles that are on the front piece, those get lined up with here. So I'll match that dot up with the opening. I'm going to pin it. And then the other fold here, matches right up with that other dot. I'm putting it right on the edge there. And then that next dot, we're going to pin it right to the side, the shoulder seam here. So we're going to put the seam, I stitched, I got that under there. I can work with it. And we're going to line the edges up like that. Here we go. And then there's a notch piece here on the shirt. Okay, match up that last notch piece there. We're going to the other side. That other dot matches up with that shoulder seam. Pin it. And then that last notch on the collar matches up with the notch right on the back. I'll line that up. There we have it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So then this piece, so this is going to come up and this is all going to go around to the back like that. So I know it might look confusing because I have the pieces sewn together, but what we're doing is just attaching just the upper collar where the circles are. I'm sewing that to the top of the shirt. That's all I'm sewing. So these pins down here, those are going to stay there for now. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to stitch right across the top. Okay, so I've sewn across the top, just like that. I did one, oh, where's my scissors? Hold up. On the ground. Okay, so I started here, sewn across, and then once I had one side done, I had to flip it over to do the other side, because sometimes, you know, you'll come up with your own reasons why you need to flip something and have one part on what piece is on top, which versus what piece is on the bottom. Okay, so that piece is on. So now when I take my flip this over, so I made sure that the loop wasn't caught in this upper stitch. What I'm going to do, so this piece at the hold on, I stitched the two pieces together. That's not the stitch I wanted to do, but it's okay, it is okay. So I wanted to stitch this piece together, so stitch the piece to the shirt, but then after that you'll stitch the top two pieces together, and then I'll come back after that. So if you haven't stitched yet, you want to stitch the front you want to stitch the collar to the actual blouse. Okay, so I've sewn the front on, and I know I didn't mention it earlier, but hopefully in a video, I do not sew across the dots. I sew up to the dot, lock my stitch, start at the next dot, and sew. I have not ever sewn across dots like that for these types of openings, so I don't know what would happen. I mean, I'm assuming it would be fine if you do, but it's not a stitch that I want to see. Okay, so now I can take these off. And then take a look at my shirt, make sure that the pleats are where they need to be. So something is weird here. Once you have that done, you're going to understitch. So here's going to be the top, this is the front, and this is the back. So what you do is you're going to press your seam towards the back collar, and you're going to stitch right along this line as far as you can go. If you can't get all the way to the edge because of the loops, it's okay, but stitch this on, and you're going to stitch, so you're stitching the seam allowance to the back piece. So this is the front, this is the back. You're going to stitch along the back here. I'm going to turn that out, make sure that everything looks good. Oh, and I forgot the, so I'm going to stitch this down. So now you're going to stitch your sides, because I see that that's not straight, and so I want this piece. See that? I have to take that out. See, accidents happen. So this is the top piece. So that wasn't supposed to get sewn to the front, because this is going to come around like this, and then it's going to turn under and close here. And so I have this little, I'm going to have this little weird thing going on here. So I have to take this stitch out to remove the back collar, and then I'm going to stitch down. So this is the edge of your project. You want that stitch to kind of to line up with that. Mine's going to go in a little further, and it's okay. So I'm going to take it in at an angle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, I'm going to stitch right along here to this point. So I'm starting up here and I'm slant all the way down, because I just want to capture more of this here in the front, just a little bit more. Yeah, I want to capture it just like that, and then I'll be fine with that. Okay, so you're going to stitch down your sides on this side, and then over here again you're going to take this back to the bottom piece right here, and you're gonna stitch. So what you can do to get ready for the front is take this bottom piece right here. So this is the back piece. See how it's down? So you can take this. So let me pin this, because I'm trying to finagle this around. So you could take this bottom piece, because you're going to turn it under. You can lift that up just like that. Let me do it this way. Stitch here, stitch, pin. So you're going to stitch down this side, and then when you get to this piece down here, you're going to turn, this piece is going to be turned up, and then that piece gets stitched like that. Put a pin in there so you can, and I'll pull my hand back so that you can see what I did, because all this is going to be turned under. And then here again, starting right here, and I'm going to stitch it at an angle, because I know what this feels like around my neck, so I know I have some room to just make this a little bit more snug. So now this, to finish up the collar, so you're like this. So remember I said to fold this up. So, and here's the collar right here. So everything gets folded, folding this up just 3/8 of an inch, and this gets stitched. So the instructions, I'm pretty sure the instructions might say stitch in the ditch. I do not stitch in a ditch, because that's a level precision that is just not in me for a collar, the front. So all this gets turned over, and it gets brought down to the collar, because the collar in the front is it's going to be baggy. It's going to be a little baggy, and I don't know if we had any markings on here to match up, so I'm just going to pin it to make sure that there's no excess fabric in one area or another. See how this has this baggy look to it? So that's what you have to be careful of. Be careful with folding this under, because you don't want to stretch it too much. You don't want to stretch it at all. So I'm going over. So here we are at the front. See that front? That's the front right here. So I'm going to bring, are there knots? No, there are no markings here. So I'm just folding under and bringing it down. So now I'm going to go to the other side, lay this flat. I'm going to fold this under and pin it. Not there, not there. Let's get it. I should have stitched the 3/8 of an inch seam. I should have stitched it and gave myself like a guide. Oh, there might be a notch. I think there is a notch. So that goes to the shoulder, maybe. Let me turn my shirt right side out. And I'm going to get a ham. Get my ham. So sometimes it's just easier to get this done when you're using a curve. So here is the side. Folding under and bringing it to the collar. And I'm just going to push it right into the hem. Pushing into the hem. All right, how does that look? So once I like it, then I'll go ahead and remove it from the hem. And so the key is finding what works for you. And if it takes time to do it, then it takes time. It's your shirt. Folding under 3/8. Bringing it down. Breaking it down, 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 down. That, and there it is all the way to the other side. I got it up and I messed it up. So get that stitched up, and then you can put your buttons on the side and then hem the bottom, and then that And then, oh, we got to do the elastic for the sleeves. Ah, not done yet, not done yet. Okay, sewing for another day. Okay, I wanted to show a close-up of the hand stitching that I'm doing. So I actually have the garment upside down, and I am taking the needle, hold on, I'm taking the needle through the seam allowance under. So I'm lifting this up, I'm taking the needle through the seam allowance and then up through the collar. So let me give you, see if you can see right there. You see the little loop there? So there's stitching. Hold on, where am I at? Look for. Yep. So there's straight stitching under there that's attaching the blouse to the collar. But then if you see these little loops, so that's it. I'm just taking the fabric and I'm going in and out. Let me see if I can get a close-up of me doing it. All right, I think I can just do, I could probably do a stitch with this up in the air. All right, so I'm taking the needle and I'm going through the seam allowance under here, and then I'm coming up through the collar, and then I pull there again, going through the seam allowance and up through the collar. And then that's how I'm doing the stitch. I don't remember what the name of this stitch is called, but I love it. It's the way that I do all my facings. In through the seam allowance, up through whatever fabric is on top, and then I stitch it together all the way around.